everybody. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a short invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear God, let us remember life is short. Don't take one day granted. Everything can change in a moment. Be grateful for all you have and all that you are. Remember who is important to you. Life is a gift and we are blessed. Amen.
Amen.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
Mr. Bryan is absent.
I hope Ken feels better. Approval of the minutes.
Second.
Roll call.
It's for August 2nd, 2022.
Oh, I was going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
having trouble with my glasses today. Okay. Regular minute meeting for August 2nd, 2022.
Yeah, second.
Roll call.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye. Approval of fiscal officer's report. Why do we have that? Approval. Fiscal officer's report.
Because the state makes us do it.
Approval of it? Did we always do approval
We're
of it?
supposed to.
Okay, today's new then.
Well, it's been on there a couple times.
Okay, that's all right.
So we're going to vote on it.
You just, yeah, it's like you basically have to accept the report that he's giving you.
Okay, so we don't have to vote on it.
We
just
do have
accept
to
it.
vote on it, but.
Okay,
the
so
state
I
makes
move
us do it.
approval of fiscal officer's report.
Second.
Go ahead,
Discussion.
Joe.
Our HSA
Michael.
account has a balance as of the first of the month of $17,748.40. The working major checking account has a balance of $9,761,714.04. That includes the second half taxes that were received from Hamilton County that totaled $4,372,225.46. Our meter investment account as of 8/31 had a balance of $8,215,994.67. Some of the major funds that we have the balances for. The general fund contains $3,002,092, not $2,092.86. The park levy is at $745,176.12. Police, $1,301,311.38. Fire fund is at $818,856.28. And the safety services fund stands at $3,888,024.99. We did get Symmes' portion of the opioid settlement was received, and it totaled $2,637.70. That's all I have.
Any questions?
No questions.
Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
Okay, we do not have any presentations right now. Public hearings, we do not. I move approval of disbursements warrant number 81588-81787 and vouchers 186 to 224 in the amount of $1,623,463.72.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye. Reports, Law Director?
Thank you, no report tonight.
Okay, Police?
No, I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. Fire?
The fire chief's already submitted his report. I have nothing else to add.
Thank you. Director of Public Works, I don't think Bill's here tonight. We have nothing from committees. Any other? Okay. This is the point where we have hearing from residents. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to discuss something with us, please come on up. Okay. We don't have anybody right now. We might try that back if we see anybody that comes in. Correspondence, see attached. Events and meetings. Zoning Commissioner meeting Wednesday, September 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. Board of Zoning Appeals meeting Monday, October 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. Regular trustee meeting Tuesday, October 4th at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. Fall for Symmes, October 7th, 2022 at 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. at Symmes Park. I guess that's it. Old business, we have none. New business, discussion concerning the sub pump violation. Who's teeing it up?
All right. All right, thank you. We, as you remember, we were going to take a look and see what authority the township had to help deal with some sump pump issues. We all kind of understood and agreed that the primary enforcement agency on this is Hamilton County Health. But the question was, is there anything that the township could do? And we've looked at about every way we can think of to see if the township has authority to provide any enforcement. And unfortunately, what we're coming up with is no. We actually even looked at the idea of the board adopting its own sump pump regulations under the limited home rule authority. And we found that we don't have the authority to do that. It's not the type of thing that allows us to regulate it because of any issues in the right-of-way. We've looked at our nuisance resolution again, and based on the additional research we did, it does not appear that this is something that's really appropriate for the normal nuisance resolution, the kind of thing we usually use for tall grass and other kind of noxious weeds and things like that. So from an enforcement standpoint, we cannot find any provision under existing law or any additional authority for us to adopt something on our own that would give us any enforcement ability related to the sump pumps. So as far as one option is that we could reach out to the county. I should say staff has done that, reached out to the county.
Our staff.
Yes, our staff has done that. I mean, if the board wanted to do anything on a more formal level, you could. But it would essentially be asking the appropriate enforcing agency to take whatever steps are necessary to protect the residents here.
So we need to talk to public health. We need to put more pressure on them. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm saying that we've, at a staff level, it's happened, and I don't think that that's made any difference. The next thing that would typically happen is we could tell the board that you could take some action, and then
yeah,
we have some
I
other
missed
thoughts
last
as
month's
well.
meeting. I apologize. I was out. But 2 months ago, I know this came up, and we talked about this topic. And I said in the meeting that I would follow up with Greg Kesterman, the public health director, which I did. I saw him later that week, and I explained the situation. He's well familiar with this situation because it happens all over the county. And I explained that we would like to take a more, we'd like to get something done.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. Whose ever jurisdiction it is, we'd like to make sure something gets done. And at that time, I said, because I told him that we were researching our own nuisance resolution to see if this is something that could be incorporated into that. We're not sure yet. Would he be open if we drafted some sort of a inspection report for his review? And he said yes. So I'm not sure, given the fact that it is, we're all agreeing it's the county's, it's their responsibility to enforce this. It's their regulation for public health that covers sump pump issues. Jeff, you did mention something about the right-of-way, and I would argue that it doesn't normally mess with the right-of-way, with the exception if it creates moss, which is slippery and obnoxious in the summer, or ice in the winter, and then it does affect us.
I would agree with that, and what we found, though, is that when situations like that happen in the right-of-way, that gives the township the authority to get rid of the moss in the right-of-way, or to remove the ice in the right-of-way, but it doesn't necessarily extend any authority onto the private property to deal with the source of that.
So if we hypothetically, and I know this would all have to, we'd have to check this and double check this and run it past Director Kesterman, but I mean, in theory, if we had something like our nuisance resolution is complaint driven. So if we at the township received a complaint, and it doesn't have to, I mean, it can be anonymous. I mean, what the tool that would be helpful to have is something that says, okay, Hamilton County, Symmes Township, we're going to go together as a team and get this corrected. It's the county's responsibility, but we're going to work with them as a team. And hypothetically, the solution is we go back with a backhoe. You know, we identify where the right-of-way line is, and our backhoe bucket hits, you know, just pulls that out, pulls that piece of pipe out, and then puts one of those surface bubbler units, and then restores the right-of-way soil and grass. And then we've met, that situation meets the county's legal requirements. Like I say, all this is hypothetical,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we're happy. Like I said, like I've said at all of the meetings, we are definitely willing to look at any options that come forward to see if that's something that, and I don't want to speak for Kim, but I know that, you know, staff has been very willing to work with and talk to whoever we can to see if we can come to some resolution, and I'm happy to discuss with Mr. Kesterman what the appropriate thing might be to do. For sure, you know, certainly we're willing to do that.
okay.
So did he give us any suggestions?
He is waiting for us to contact him. Yeah, and kind of float
So
something in draft form.
So we should probably send a letter, like a formal letter, right?
A letter, or like say, some sort of an inspection report. It could be patterned after our nuisance reports.
Sure. I mean, you know, Bill and I can go out there and look at the situation, and even if it is just a kind of a staff level report of the current situation, we can share that with Mr. Kesterman and see if that is sufficient to get them to act. I know that the property owners there, or the neighbors, I should say, have been in contact with the health department. But I think, you know, if Bill is available, we'll go out and look at it. We'll draft up whatever kind of inspection report we can. So it would come from township staff. And
Just trying to come up with a solution that is relatively straightforward, meets the criteria. I mean, if you try and do a hard tie-in to a storm drain system, that can get expensive fast and can be complicated, and you may be crossing multiple yards for that to be accomplished. Whereas if a sump pipe comes out towards the right-of-way and it stops, what is it, 15 feet, 5 feet? 15
it has to be
feet.
15 feet.
15 feet, and then just has something that, you know, allows the water, you can't just stop it, but, you know, the water spills out on the yard. That meets the criteria, is my understanding. That's a relatively easy solution. We can't just go around with big corks and pound them in the holes, in the curb.
Right.
That's not a good solution, although we would end up repairing that curb and filling in the hole.
Yep. Well, I can get with Bill and see what we can do.
Okay,
Certainly.
great, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Discussion concerning placement of musical instruments in the park. So I guess it's been like a year ago, was it a year? Was it 6 months, 8 months? We bought some musical instruments and we were planning to place them in the parks this summer. I broke my foot, so I didn't quite get to it. I first, before I decide where I want to go, I want to see how loud they are. Because obviously we don't want to put them somewhere that's backs up to a house and then they hear us banging on instruments. So now that I'm more mobile, I would like to take a look at them and see how loud they are, and then we can go from there, if that's okay.
Yeah, the Thunder Drum is the loudest one. So if you go on their website,
Is it super loud?
it is pretty loud. But if you go on their website, go to that Natural Playgrounds.
Yeah?
You can click on the spec sheet and it's got a little audio that comes up when you pull the page up, and you can hear how loud it
You
is.
can hear. Okay, because I was planning, I know they're in the barn, so I was just planning on going to the barn because they're out of the boxes, I think I was told.
Oh, did he take him out finally?
Yeah, they took
Okay, they're just trying to get rid of stuff in the barn, so they keep getting on me, and I'm like, I don't know. So
Yeah.
I was thinking, my one suggestion was to put them in Home of the Brave, like behind the ball fields. We have that strip that we don't use, that's along the path.
The
Maybe we
path.
could put it there, and then that's kind of far away from the residents there and there and there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, I know you were concerned about the loudness, maybe that might be.
I think it's fun, it's a cute idea.
Okay,
And so let's just make sure it's not too loud.
okay.
Okay. All right, discussion concerning placement of benches in the park.
Is there any other locations you guys would like to see benches? We bought 6 of them, and I think we have 3 maybe spoken for, where we had to replace some. Like we put one at Mead next to the fountain because the other bench broke. I think there's one at Hopewell, and what was the other one? Seven Gables, near the restrooms. So I didn't know if you guys wanted them to put like along the trail at Mead?
Yeah, that's what I
We already have benches there.
just thinking along some of our longer walking paths. Do they
Yeah.
need
Or
places to sit and
Symmes,
relax,
or-
or
And now that I'm walking, I'll
do we want
Pay
one by the
attention.
bird blind where people can sit?
We
and
have
watch the
benches
birds?
there.
That's already taken care of.
Well, yeah, let me look.
Yeah,
So maybe while you're doing musical instruments, you could hunt a place for benches?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
Okay. I move to not request a hearing for a new liquor permit for Chipotle Mexican Grill, 9430 Fields Erdel Road, Symmes Township, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45249.
so we need to
We
vote
have to
on
vote
that.
on that.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I guess we have a request from Chatham's Woods HOA to extend no parking hours on Chatham Woods Drive. Didn't we already do this once?
Yes. So it's before I got here. You guys installed no parking signs but it's only between the hours of 8 and 1 p.m. And I think it was to deter students from parking on
Right.
Chatham Woods Drive instead of parking where they should be parking at the high school. Well, now the issue is with the elimination of the bus service, a lot of the residents are picking up their kids, or a lot of the school moms and dads are picking up their kids on Chatham Woods, and they're lining up along the exit of Chatham Woods, and then the residents who live there are having a hard time exiting the subdivision. So they would like us to put up no parking signs, I guess permanently, so that people just can't park there anymore. Now, I don't know how about those people in those houses feel about that.
Yes.
So obviously, we would have to have a public hearing and I don't know if you want to do it next meeting or the meeting after, and invite everybody from the neighborhood
Okay.
and maybe have people talk.
And then, so then there's another problem, because I've had a lot of people complain about the congestion because of the picking up people at the high school. So if they're not allowed to pick them up at Chatham Woods, then it's just going to cause more problems on Rich Road.
Right.
And then you're going to have all the other subdivisions do the same. So, I mean, I would like to maybe wait and see if the school levy passed, because if the school levy passes, then the buses will come back. And so there might not be a need for this.
Okay.
So if we could put it off a few months just to see if that's okay with the HOA. I mean, if not, we can come back and work on it next month. But they might want to just sit back and see what happens with the school levy.
All right.
Do you think that's right?
Do-
or-
I was
Mike,
just
do
gonna
you,
ask
when,
Mike
I
if
mean,
there's
do you
an
guys
issue.
have any ability to, I mean, I know there's no parking signs there at 3 PM or 2:30 or 3 PM, but is there any way to deter people from parking at the end, you know, where you exit?
So we were there this afternoon, and Jeff Copeland was there a couple times last week, and he said it was a little less, somewhat fewer parents today
Okay.
than last week. But the issue is they're not blocking the exit. If you know when you go out of there, there's that island.
Right.
They're well back of that island.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
mark. The problem becomes all the kids come out, and today it might have been 15 cars, 15 parents that picked up kids. There aren't no safety issue. The kids aren't causing any problems. The parents simply pull in, they wait there, their kid comes, they go, and they leave. The problem is they all leave about the same time because the kids all come at about the same time, and there's so much traffic on Rich Road that it takes them a few minutes to get out. So for about 10 minutes, it's a little hard to get out of that neighborhood, but it's not anyone blocking the road.
Okay.
Like I said, they pick up their kid, then they go to exit the neighborhood, and they've got to wait for a minute, and now it got to the point, there were 5 or 6 cars waiting at one point.
Okay, so maybe that's what the real issue is then.
Yeah, as far as blocking the road and not being, that's it, and it goes from 240 to, it was 240 to by 250, everyone's gone. It's literally 10 minutes.
And that's what happened last year when I went up there and I watched the cycle. It was literally 10 to 12 minutes and then everybody was gone.
What about fire truck or ambulance access?
You would have no problem getting one in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for you, but I don't know if you've looked at it.
I haven't looked at it, but I don't
You
foresee it
could
being a
definitely
problem.
get in. And it's that, forgive me, that first street to the left. They're right there when you come in that first street to the left, which does not have no parking signs. So I get it. I'd be a little frustrated if these parents are, but there's no safety issue, and it's like last year when we looked at Rich Road. It's 10 minutes and it's back to normal.
It's every subdivision. They're even parking out my subdivisions. It's every subdivision that's along Ridge Road near the high school. So I think it's going to be something that continues, but if they pass the levy, then the buses will come back. So I think that will go away.
True. Okay.
Do we need to reach back to
HOA.
who was contacting us?
Yeah, and ask them if they want to sit tight to see if the levy passes.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. All right, moving on. I move approval of Resolution G 2022-91, resolution approving the 2022 street lighting assessment.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Ms. Lees?
Aye. I move approval of Resolution G 2022-92, resolution approving various other nuisance and false alarm drops assessments 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I move approval of Resolutions G 2022-93, resolution providing for the declaration of nuisance for the property located at 8723 Birch Bark and authorizing all necessary steps for the abatement of the nuisance.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Ms. Lees?
Aye. I move approval of Resolutions G 2022-94, resolution authorizing the Township Law Director to file a petition for appropriation of certain property located near Kugler Mill and commonly referred to as Memorial Park.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms.
Just
Ms.
so you
Lees?
know, this is the second resolution for that appropriation, and then can you explain? Like the
Yeah.
next steps?
Yeah, the next step, we'll prepare the complaint that we file in the common pleas court. We'll have to have somebody provide us with a value estimate of the property, because under that statute, technically, we have to pay whatever the fair market value is to acquire that property.
To who?
Well, generally, when you do this kind of case, we would deposit the money with the Hamilton County Common Pleas Court, with the clerk, and then whoever the owners are, if any owners ever appear, it's up to them to request the funds from the court.
And will it ever come back to us if no one declares it or picks it up? Or is it just
Will the
gonna sit
funds
there?
ever be returned? You know, I don't
Yeah.
know. I've never, I don't know the answer to that. But
but
like you said, there are really, I want everyone to understand, we're not taking this property from anybody who wants this property. This is really to clean up
Right.
maybe the messiest title on property I've ever seen.
Well,
And that
not
way we'll
only,
consolidate the ownership, and then we can deal with it like a park property for the
That would be
township.
right,
nice,
so we're
right.
not only cleaning up the title, we intend to clean up the property itself.
Right.
And that's-
Therefore,
yes.
could I make a recommendation, of course, I'm not an attorney, but could we buy it for $1?
Well, if, we will explain the situation to a professional, and they will render a value opinion, and they can only, the opinion will be whatever they think the fair market value of that property is. Right now, I couldn't imagine that the fair market value of that property is much. It's so small, it's not buildable, you can't do anything with it. It doesn't have much purpose beyond consolidating it for the memorial park as it's sort of being used now. So, would I hope that the value opinion comes in that neighborhood? Yes, but we have to wait and see what the professional says.
Okay.
And then I just want people to understand too, then it's going to take time, because it's not something that happens instantaneously when we file this with the court. We may have to advertise in the paper again, and then we'll have to file some other motions with the court. So, but ultimately, we don't anticipate any issue with this, and the title will end up with the township.
Okay,
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
all right. Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2022-95, resolution providing for the declaration of nuisance for the property located at 11520 Enyart Road and authorizing all necessary steps for the abatement of the nuisance.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Ms. Lees?
Aye. I move approval of Resolution G 2022-96, resolution authorizing a separate special fund 2904 with UAN to account for the opioid settlement proceeds.
Second.
Discussion?
Are there any strings attached to how this $2,000 is spent?
Yes.
There are.
Yes.
Like one or two things or what?
Well, it's, in general, if we look at that settlement agreement, it will tell us the specifics, but in general, it has to be spent on things related to the opioid crisis. What the things I've seen places spend it on typically are things for fire, EMS, police,
Narcan, education.
Narcan, education, yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I move approve Resolution G 2022-97, resolution authorizing the township administrator to sign an agreement with Choice One Engineer for engineer services for drainage improvement at Mead Historical Preserve in the amount of $9,620.
Second?
Discussion, I think we have somebody here. Would you like to talk? Or not?
I just need to, if they need to understand what happens, is that my property abuts the main
It
property.
drains behind.
And as the water comes around the mound, I am the lowest level house, and so it never makes it to the retention pond. The water just dumps straight down on both sides of my house.
Okay.
And then yesterday, I had a serious incident with 2 inches of water in my basement that came from a window well, because all the water is sitting right there at the corner of my house where it drops. So I was hoping that this happens sooner than later because sleeping is going to be very difficult when you want to get up and check the window well now. I just know I was at work and it started pouring and I'm just having these nightmares of like, oh my God, what's going on at my house because everybody's at school and so.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying
I
to.
hope nothing was ruined.
About 10 hours worth of work, hard labor, but
Yeah.
days off work, but, you know, I think I salvaged everything, you know, by trying to clean it up myself and, you know, it had to happen on a holiday, of course, you know. when There's not a lot of help I can get from the outside, but.
Hopefully this will take care of it.
So.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry. We'll
How
find
quickly
the,
would that happen, do you know?
Kim?
Engineering for them, it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 months, and then we would have to plan for doing construction next year, because it's probably gonna be about $50,000, I would imagine, to do the improvements necessary.
So didn't you just say it was $9,000?
This is
That's
just for
just
the
the
design.
engineering.
For the
This is
design.
the design, and then we would have to bid out the project. If it's over $50,000, we have to bid it out.
I don't know how long my house is gonna be able to take it. I mean, if you guys saw pictures, if you guys want to come see my backyard, I've spent a lot of money with the new sub pump and everything else. There's so much water that my house wasn't made to take on all that water from coming around the property and, you know, the mound, you know, for whatever reason, it's become so much worse in the weather, and I think over time, the water has made its way where it's got its own route now. Do you know what I mean? Through my yard, where it just tunnels right through and it just drops, especially in the backyard.
Do we have like a temporary thing that we could do?
No, the problem is this has existed for years, this problem. And it's not just our water, it's everybody's water from that whole watershed area. Comes in through and comes through our park, and then she's the lowest property. So it doesn't go anywhere else but her property because it's the lowest. That's just what it does. It's done it for years. And it just so happened this weekend we got 6 inches of rain. So, I mean, you can't stop that.
So is there any way we can expedite this?
I mean, I can ask them to go fast as they can, but we've got like 10 other projects with Choice One right now. So, I mean, I don't know how fast it's gonna happen.
Okay, so can we ask them to bump it to the top?
We can ask.
yeah, why don't we, I agree. Let's, given the situation and the fact that this is not tolerable, see if they will put I'm not sure about I can't speak on the priority of the other 9 projects, but you know, this has got to be at least one of the highest priorities. And let's just try and make it a goal to get this fix in place by February.
We can try.
That way we're set for the spring
It's just,
rains.
you just don't know, like with contractors and the cost of pipe and, because really what we're talking about is putting in a pipe and running it from behind the restroom all along the whole southern border of the property to that detention basin. And if the ground is taller at that end, the water's not gonna go that way. That's why it goes to where her house is.
Right.
So we would have to grade the property, we'd have to install the pipe, and the problem is we don't know how big of a pipe we need.
Right,
So it's all gonna be based on calculations that they're gonna have to do for us.
Right.
And that's what this engineering is for.
Right.
yeah. And I know, believe me, I had I won't even say a similar issue, but I had a drainage issue in my backyard. And I won't get into the details, but a property owner downstream from me thought they put in enough pipes. They just sort of winged it. And by the time we got the engineering design to fix it, it was 3-4 times the capacity is what the pipes ended up being. So the sooner we can get to that diameter and quantity, we can start procuring that, even if we procure that on our own and then have a contractor install it for us.
Okay.
You know, just trying to think of
Can
ways to
try.
expedite it.
I'll take your optimism.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We'll stay on top of this. And if you keep in communication with Bill? Because I know you've been talking to him.
Oh, Mr. Pittman?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we
Okay.
sandbag your window well?
Yeah, that's what I said.
So it doesn't come over top. There's so much water that can't go anywhere because of my house blocks the water, and it just sits there. And then slowly sinks in, and I have too much water around
I
the
see.
base of my house.
Right.
So it doesn't come over the window well. I've always covered my window well, so the water's not coming in. It's
I
what's
see.
coming around the house. The water just sits there. If it doesn't have any place to go, it finds the least, place
Yeah.
to go.
Right.
So
Right.
my window well now, which had nothing but pea gravel in it, and the pipe, now you can see where the mud and the muck with the water sitting there, has now found its way to some open area, which is my window well. So,
Got it.
again, having all this rain there this weekend did not help. I've never had that much water, around my house, or, the puddles or the swimming pool that I had back there, so it's just, if you're in a panic, once you spent 10 hours getting the mud and the water out of your basement now, any rainfall, you're thinking, oh my God, somebody's got to get home and check that window well, or
Yeah.
check something now, but it's never, come to that. And now that it has, I don't want to do that all over again. like I
Right,
did
for sure.
Yesterday.
Right,
If I can
right.
prevent it.
I can relate.
And
Yep.
Mr. Pittman told me, he said it was on, because I called him and told him what happened, and he said it was on the agenda tonight.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to come and please, sooner than later, that this would be, fixed. So
Okay.
coming along.
So this is the first step. We'll try to get it done as quickly as possible. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for being here.
Thank you.
We're sorry about the situation.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Ms. Lees?
Aye. I move approval of Resolution G 2022-98, resolution amending Resolution G 2022-18, resolution authorizing the purchase of a township battalion vehicle from McCluskey Chevrolet and Southeast Apparatus LLC in the amount of $74,429.
Second.
Discussion?
So this vehicle was purchased last year. Well, actually, we tried to purchase it last year. We couldn't. We put it back on in January to repurchase it. We ordered it. We received the truck in July. So before that, we took the old boxes off the other truck that we had that didn't have a transmission in it anymore. And when they took it off, I guess they didn't realize how much damage and corrosion there was to the box. So they ended up having to paint the boxes when they reinstalled them on the new truck. And that was an additional $7,000. So that was something that was not budgeted for. But they went ahead and painted it, and then now we just have to have you guys approve that additional expense.
Okay.
Is this a then and now, or no?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Do we have to state that?
Well, I put it in there that you were amending resolution
Okay.
22-18.
Got it.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Okay. All right, roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2022-99, resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to sign an agreement with Prodigy Building Solutions LLC in the amount of, which I do not have. Do you have it on yours?
No, if you want to finish reading it, I'm going to ask you to table it.
Okay, amount of, to make structural renovations to Mead House basement in the Mead Historical Park.
Wasn't that in the report?
I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for months for a number. So
You haven't
if you want
gotten
to
it?
go ahead and second it, Phil, we can have discussion.
Second.
So we've been waiting forever to get numbers on this fix, but we just got an email from the Prodigy that was working on this. Here, I want to read this. After further investigation, we feel it would be in the township's interest to explore the option of moving the load-bearing points along the east wall. The existing conditions and recommendations report produced by Hardlines Design Company budgeted money for reinforcing and shoring the existing wall. However, after further analysis, this may not be a viable option without considerably more resources. Degradation of mortar to the east foundation wall has led to the sagging of floorboards on the first floor near the front entrance. Gaps of greater than an inch from the rafters and subfloor have formed, which raises the question, would it be less expensive and more effective to move the load point off the east foundation wall? As a part of the township's goal to eventually get an assembly occupancy permit for this facility, we will need to essentially double the live load capacity of the floor. To do this, we will already be bringing in 4 sets of steel beams supported on new posts and footers. By adding an additional set of beams, we would be able to better predict the costs associated with the project upfront rather than starting with a masonry allowance for reinforcement and being exposed to finding this wall as potentially unrepairable anyway. So they would like additional time for the engineering team to determine if this option would be a better fit for the project.
Just to clarify, Prodigy, are they part of Hardline's team?
No, they are a separate company that comes in and they do all the bidding for you. Like they get all the bids, they'll get 3 bids from every different facet of construction and then compile contractors that they feel are good enough and best enough to do the jobs that are necessary for that project.
So they're a management
Yes.
company.
They're like Turner Construction, I guess, in a sense. But
How did we get Prodigy on board?
they were recommended by Miami Township. I guess they use them in Claremont County.
Okay,
So they've been going through the process of getting all these bids, and of course, nobody wants to give us a decent bid. Everybody's bid expires after 30 days. And then when you go through the process and you get the last bid, then the first bid's expired already. So they've been having problems trying to get new bids. And then when they actually had the masonry person come in, or the structural engineer come in to look at what they wanted to do, like their solution, he was not comfortable with only using 4 beams. He said, well, if you want to do the assembly use, you're going to need 6 beams at least to start with. And you want to take that load off that front wall, that front facade, which faces North Lebanon.
that was one of the bidders who said that?
The structural engineers that Prodigy hired.
Oh, so what did Hardline say about that?
Well, they're having a
It's their
discussion about it
design.
right now. Because I think the architect, their structural person needs to talk to their structural person, the actual, you know what I'm saying? When you're
Yep.
designing it versus constructing it,
Right.
sometimes you get that little difference. So each one is talking to the other one to try to work it out.
Because Hardline's, it's their stamp that's on our documents,
Right.
not Prodigy.
Right, but we didn't have Hardlines do the actual plans for the basement. Prodigy actually did the plans for the basement itself.
Okay,
So Hardlines just did like a kind of a 10,000 view look, I guess.
I see.
You know what I'm saying? But nobody actually did plans, but Prodigy had to hire a structural engineer to come in and look at all that.
Got it. So then they stamped it.
They won't stamp it, that's what I'm saying. They don't believe what Hardlines suggested that we do originally was the correct manner that they would follow.
So if
It's
we
all about
follow,
safety.
yeah, if we follow Prodigy's structural engineer, they
Right.
will stamp it.
Yes,
Okay, that's important.
but they
for
want to
staff.
make sure that they're talking to the architect to get their thoughts about what they originally had put on paper.
Okay, got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if you all would be so kind as to table it.
Okay,
Okay, I move to table Resolution 2022-99.
second.
Roll call.
Mr. Beck,
Aye.
Ms. Lees,
Aye. I move approval of Resolutions G 2022-100, resolution authorizing Township Administrator to purchase play equipment from Landscape Structure for 7 Gables Park in the amount of $538,230.
Second.
Discussion? I know we got grants for this, so,
Yep.
okay. Roll call.
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
Mr. Beck,
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2022-101, resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into an agreement with Bryan Christian Landscaping for tree treatment and pruning at various cemeteries, parks, government buildings in the amount of $34,916.
Second.
Discussion? Is there any way we could start doing this in-house? Do we know enough about
You know what,
trees?
I don't know if Dave can do it or not.
Can't we send somebody to class?
We sent Dave to class, but I can't remember if he passed his certification or not. I can ask Bill,
That would be a nice way to save a little chunk of money.
right? So you're thinking for future years?
Yeah.
Okay,
If he's capable of doing it.
okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Roll call?
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Ms. Lees?
Aye. We have no executive session, so I move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Have a good night, everyone.